Hi, this is Jean Henningsen with Monarch Leadership Group, and this is Leading Through Crisis, Making a Difference. And here with me today is Dr. Jim Henningsen. He is the president of the College of Central Florida, and he's also my husband. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
So I know the college has had to pivot quite rapidly in response to this crisis. So tell us about that.
Pivot's probably an understatement, but first I just want to, on behalf of the District Board of Trustees, myself, the entire CF family, our thoughts and thanks go out to the first responders out there. They're working in the front lines, our heroes in our community, working in the hospitals, the nurses, the doctors, the EMTs, paramedics, all those folks. We're just so thankful for all that they're doing to save lives and treat folks during this pandemic. I also want to have our hearts go out to everyone out there in businesses who are struggling right now in retail, having a hard time trying to get customers back. And I know we just recently had some degree of reopening. So community members, please to go out and support your local businesses. We need them to be successful here in our community. So our hearts are going out to all of those folks and trying to help them out during this very difficult time also. But in terms of pivoting, what did we do at the College of Central Florida? It's been about 2 months now. And we got the word from Tallahassee, the Department of Education contacted us as the governor came out with the executive order on the state of emergency, that we would need to push all of our courses online and all of our services and as many students and employees working remotely as possible. So within a period of about 10 days, we went from about 36% of our courses online to over 95%. That's our courses and also our student services. So right now we can do everything from inquiry, application, virtual tour. We even have a new virtual tour we came up with in the last 8 weeks. That you can fly through the buildings and check all those out on the campuses. And just to give as many services and support systems for our students who are in need for that skills training and education. It's a great opportunity to come back and be able to deliver. But I am just, if I had to say what gives me goosebumps when I talk about what we've been able to accomplish, it's the team. This team is phenomenal. Many of you have already heard me talk about, I brag about the college all the time, that we have national rankings and we're an Aspen Institute top 150 college, recognized consistently. So one of the best in the country. And this team showed their true colors, their patriot colors, by really working diligently and coming up with creative solutions to deliver all of our coursework online and all of our student support. So we just finished up our spring semester. We had a virtual commencement. It was the first time we've ever done something like that. And we even had our bagpiper, Mr. Chris Knife, who's our executive director of the foundation, now garbed up in his Scottish gear with his bagpipes to pipe in the students, but we recognized them. We had guest speakers at graduation, including the chancellor of our system, Dr. Fox, president of the University of Florida, Kevin Shealy, head of our local chamber and economic partnership, other business leaders, our board chair, Ms. Joyce Brancato. So just really great creative solution to honor our graduates during this time period. But it's been a lot of a challenge. It's gone well. I pinch myself regularly for that. But it's also been a great deal of challenge, and the team, individuals have come up with creative solutions where we may not have had that solution at the get-go. You've got faculty or staff who came up with really creative ideas. For example, folks working from home contacting students. We contacted every student by phone. We wanted to connect with them, tell them about the college, and try to make sure that they can do this, they can finish the term, and to keep their education plans going. So we had to find solutions for employees who are working from home to not use their personal cell phones and giving out their cell phone numbers to everybody. And they came up with there's apps for this. Our IT folks came up with really creative solutions about using our college phones, the way our system is, they're Ethernet. So you can unplug it with a power supply, you can hook it into your internet at home on an Ethernet port, and it still shows up at your home address as the college phone number. So we have those out into homes, and advisors and other staff are using those to call. But a lot of creative work to do that, and we're just trying to make sure our students can maintain their economic activity that they want to do with their jobs and spending, as well as their educational goals and keeping them enrolled in their classes. So spring semester is done. Now we're into the summer semester, and Starting that off this past week and looking forward to getting that term done. And enrollment's about flat. I'm hearing nationally that there's been some significant declines in enrollment, but we really reached out and contacted every student by phone personally to make that connection. And I think that's really helping to keep the students engaged.
Yes, yes. I love the virtual graduation and the phone calls to all the students. I mean, that's really remarkable that your team was able to do that. And what I'm hearing you say is that the creativity has certainly been in play during this time. If you had to think about all that your leadership team has had to accomplish, all the decisions that you've had to make, how you've had to respond during this time of uncertainty, what would you say are the top leadership skills that you and your team have had to tap into during this time?
Top ones, wow. There's been so much activity, it's kind of hard to encapsulate it into just a small little group. But if I had to look at the top skills, we were concerned very early on about engagement. If all of us are working, most of us are working remotely. Now I want to reemphasize, the college is not closed. We have been open since day one. Governor DeSantis deems us an essential business, so we have been open and operating. We have a skeleton crew on campus. We still run some of our service here for the most needy of students that need that access using the social distance guidelines. When you go back to leadership skills, my concern was engagement and keeping people connected and focused on the tasks that we had to do, and we had a lot of them. When I talked with my team early on about this, they actually thought with their teams and even with our own senior staff that we've had more engagement than ever before. We're communicating more freely. We're able to focus on the critical goals that we're trying to address. We didn't have a lot of this extra noise of all the different events that we're doing, different meetings. After about 8 weeks now, we realized there's a lot of meetings we probably don't want to have when we get back to normal and everybody's working back on campus, because we realized we're able to focus a greater amount of effort on the most critical of priorities when everyone's focused on those. Normally we have so many distractions and things and meet on this, meet on that, that it really, I think, distracts us from the core goals that we're trying to do in our strategic plan. This is a great example. There's a book we love. It's from Covey on the 40X model for focusing your planning on just a few critical goals. And then you put all of your energy behind that. And I think that's something that really has shined brightly for us. We did that work previously last year, and we were able to use that during this time frame to really accelerate our performance on those few short goals, which reality is we're trying to maintain all operations during this pandemic. So every business process that we already knew how to do, every day it was a new challenge of, all right, how do we do this one? How do we do that one? How do we do a virtual graduation? How do we graduate students this way? How do we, there's been so many questions, and every day it's a new challenge of what we need to do still. So, but a lot of great work, teamwork and trust. If you look at leadership skills, we've got a great deal of trust around our president's staff. Normally we meet at a round table, and in fact, I'm there today in my office because we check our titles at the door and we work as one team. And each person, the best idea wins when we have our meetings. So it's not that the president tells everybody what to do. We're a team here. All of our major decisions at the institution are through consensus with our leadership team. That trust really helps us deal with challenging situations. When we're in the trenches under extreme difficult situations, we know we can count on each other to help each other and also come up with creative solutions so that we can accomplish the goals that we need to do. And we've been able to do that. So trust, teamwork, communication. You've got to communicate more than ever. Normally I do a once a month broadcast with the whole college community. I've been doing it every week. I want to make sure we're visible. We're talking to our employees. We're reassuring them of the great work they're doing. We got a great mission. I mean, we're not building widgets. We're actually transforming the lives of our citizens in our community, giving them the education, skills, talents for them to go out and multiply that expertise out into the community and our workforce and just raise our whole community up. I always say a rising tide lifts all boats. And that's one of the things I love what we do here at the college.
Yes, yes, indeed. So the operations have continued. You all have certainly had to completely rethink everything that you're doing. Now, tell me about the stress and anxiety and uncertainty, because this is something we have never experienced before. And I know that you had a student at the college who lost her father. So that makes it all the more real what we're dealing with here. How has your leadership team responded to the stress and anxiety of their teams as well as their own? And how have you helped your leadership team with any stress that they have been experiencing?
Well, stress is a natural result of not being, in my opinion, not being able to deal with challenging situations well. Um, there's challenging situations. How you deal with them determines whether they turn into stress on your body or whether they turn into positive outcomes. And we tend to work together really well. So our leadership team does a lot of professional development regularly throughout the years so that we know our strengths and weaknesses in normal situations and stressful situations or challenging situations. And I think we're prepared for those things. So when this came, we didn't crumble and fall apart. We actually rose to the occasion, helped each other out even more than we normally do. And if someone needed help in an area, we sent employees over. For example, we had, it's a little like the Alamo. It felt like the Alamo at sometimes. Hey, we all got to go over to the east wall right now because that's where they're rushing into. When student services was having a challenge, we're trying to reach out to every student, our team, we just said, which employees across all of our divisions can we volunteer up as helpers to call these students so that we have a larger labor force to put to that critical issue. And it worked out great. We had a lot of volunteers. It was fun. Even two of my own staff members in my office helped out with that and made the phone calls. And I reached out to a few students also. And that's one of the, when you can connect with students like that, it's a great thing. So in terms of dealing with stress, I've coached my team that it's a big thing for me because I have a history of not taking care of myself at times. And when that happens, it turns into stress, which then morphs itself into health issues in your body. So in this particular case, I told my team, make sure you take breaks, get some exercise. We were looking at the time, for most of the time we use the gyms, walking, biking, whichever you need to do, meditation, things like that. Those things are so critical to keep your mind rested and your body rested and recharged to go back into battle. Because we were going about 6 weeks straight, none of us took a day off. And it's 7 days a week. I mean, we were dealing with calls and things, nighttime, daytime, and we all realized, I don't know what day it is, it's just work. But we're trying to, once we got stabilized and got it there, I told folks, take some days off. Go take a day off, recharge. One of my staff members likes to do artwork to recharge. One loves to do biking for exercise and wellness. I like to play in old cars. I try and do my weightlifting in the back porch. Not as good as when I'm at the gym. I miss being able to go to the gym, but those are open now, which is good. And you just got to find the way what works for each of you. And from a leadership tenet, it's know yourself first before you can help others. And the more you know yourself, your strengths and your weaknesses, what works, what doesn't work with you, the more effective you're going to be under very challenging situations like we just had here. Mm-hmm. So I think we've done a great job with that. I've been so proud of the team. And, I pinch myself literally because this has really worked well for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fantastic. And I'm glad that your leadership team has taken care of themselves, because obviously if they're leading the college, they can't be crumbling, they need to be strong. Now, what about the students? How are the students doing through all this?
Well, the students were the ones we were also very concerned about, and particularly when some of them may not have signed up for online courses, but that's what they ended up getting at the end of the spring semester, not by choice. So we had a few students say, I didn't sign up for this. That's where we decided, let's call every student, talk to them one-on-one, and those thousands of students we're contacting with our employees. And what the feedback we got back from the students was, thank you so much for calling me. It shows so much that you guys care, and that's one of our things that we take very seriously. We care about our students. It's a caring, nurturing learning environment. They're not just a number, they're a person to us with a life story and a mission here that we're happy to help and be a partner in. So that reaching out really helped, I think, keep them connected with the college during a challenging situation. We also put more resources out to students in terms of counseling that's available. It's a remote access by telephone. We already had a contract. We've expanded that, which is a 1-800 number that any student can contact for immediate access to a licensed mental health counselor to deal with any anxiety, stress situations they may be dealing with, not only from school, but perhaps from a loss of a job or significant other or someone getting the virus. So those resources we put out there for the students as well as our employees, so they would have access to that support system if they needed it. Our students have come through, I think, really strong, and I'm really proud of them. I know it's tough not doing a graduation in person. We talked a lot about different options. In the end, we did a virtual one that we felt was the safest way to do that and yet still recognize their great achievements. And we also offered up to every student, if you want to come back in December, hopefully we have our graduation in December. We'll just see what it looks like then. Come on back. You can march. Not a problem. So we know all those students, and if they want to come back in March, we will be happy to have them there again. So we've done, our Commissioner of Education has two great principles. Treat every situation with compassion and grace. And so we're looking at those two principles on every issue that we deal with, how to help our students, how to help our employees with compassion and grace as we're dealing with that. So one thing I'm really proud of, our Director of Student Life, Marjorie McGee, give a shout out to Marjorie, and Caitlin Kirby over in Citrus, she's the student life leader over there. They've come up with some really unique online digital ways to engage our students in student life programming. Usually we'd have events on campuses, and we can't do those right now. So having digital examples of that, which I participated in one recently with my daughter, Harry Potter trivia. She loves Harry Potter. And of course, I think she got an A in that one. But I'm just really proud of the team coming up with creative ways to keep our students engaged in the digital platform. And the feedback we're getting from students, they pass it up to me and they just said, thanks so much for doing this. I really felt like you care. You're keeping me engaged, and they really appreciate all the effort. But it's just another example of our employees coming up with creative solutions to help our students out.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Well, definitely getting students engaged, doing something else online besides schoolwork and having fun and seeing other students, that's really positive. But what I really love is that they have that 800 number that they can call and reach a counselor. I think that is so important, that service has continued for your students, because you don't know what they're going through at home. You don't know how they're personally responding to the uncertainty of this situation. So I think that's wonderful that is still being provided to students.
Yeah, it's a resource, and if there's other resources, they let us know. Hey, could you find some sources for me to do this? Our library materials, reference materials, a lot of those are online databases now, so we have access to help out with that. So our team is constantly coming up with creative solutions, and that's where I'm so impressed. They weren't sitting here waiting for senior staff to come out with the COVID-19 response plan, and here's how everything is fixed, and here's how we had everything planned. We're in uncharted waters dealing with a world pandemic this level, which in our country has shut down states. Now we're eventually seeing positive signs in terms of reduction in cases and reopening, so that's good news to see, and we hope more good news is coming. But some great work has been done by the team, and one way we thought, it's like, how can we recognize our employees, because we want to stay connected with them. So managers are making sure they're staying connected, contacting their employees regularly. But we set up a system and said, how about a WOW card? We give out WOW cards as part of our Patriot Pride Service Excellence Program, which it's a customer service model we borrowed from Disney, and we've had that going on now for 7 years, and every year we had a 68% satisfaction rate with our services here when I first got here, and we're up at 95% now, and it's gone up every single year. Model's been phenomenal. I thank Dr. Verna Lauder, who's one of our senior staff members who's been leading that effort. But that's done great work at providing great service and a systematic process of training and development for our employees as they engage with our students. But one of the ways we wanted to say thank you to our employees is because I kept hearing stories. Oh my gosh, this professor helped me with the online because I didn't do online before. This advisor was really good at online tools. She helped me figure out how to do the Zoom. I said, why not? I put out one of my broadcast weekly messages out to employees. Why don't you recognize an employee who's done a job well done to help you deliver great service and learning to our students with a WOW card? We call them a WOW card because you created a WOW for me or for the students. And so we've had employees, even employees gave WOW cards to senior staff members, just thanking them for how we've handled this with grace, compassion, and care for our employees. So that just builds trust, it builds morale and teamwork. And that's, again, when I go back to this team, it's the best team I've ever worked with. I've worked with a lot of teams, but this college, hands down, is the best college team I've ever worked with, and we just gelled together. And after this, there's not a challenge we can't take and deliver greatness on. That I am convinced of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's a lot of businesses out there have had a lot of challenge, lost revenues. We're the flip side in that we already had our revenues in for spring semester, and we were able to, our goal was to keep every employee full-time and our part-timers, our regular part-timers, employed. So we have not had we have not lost one full-time or part-time employee due to COVID-19. And I'm hoping we can keep that through this cycle. We're watching to see what our state budget's going to be. We're also watching fall enrollment. We got to keep our enrollment in. Nationally, as I said earlier, enrollment is going to be potentially dropping. We're going to try and be the opposite of that and bring it up. Because normally when the economy goes south and the unemployment rate goes up like it is, a lot of folks come back to us for training and skills development, and financial aid will help pay for everything. So financial aid's out there. Students can literally graduate debt-free. And it also provides the Pell Grants, which most people, even if they're lost their job, are going to be eligible for a Pell Grant. That covers their rent, living expenses, food, gas, a lot of different things. So you can come to college and have money to help pay for your bills too. So it's a great time to think about if you want to stay home, stay safe. We're 100% open, service side. You can do everything from apply, conduct a virtual tour, do student life activities, take your courses, graduate, all from the comfort of your couch right now. And we will be doing that for a little bit farther forward until we get to a more stable position, and we'll see in terms of the health indicators for our area. But it's all available right now. So we encourage students it's a great time to be able to get online. So get online and do some learning rather than getting online and playing some those video games.
Well, it certainly is a great option for people that have lost their job and maybe they're thinking this is an opportunity for them to switch career fields and perhaps do something different. I think it's also a great option for our local students who are graduating from high school this year and we're hoping to go away to a university. If their parents or they don't feel comfortable leaving and living on a university campus, then CF is certainly another option for them, at least for a year until things get back to normal. So it's nice to know that everything is business as usual. I do want to ask about the relief that's come from the state for students. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the relief we've gotten right now it's called the CARES Act, and that was approved out of Washington, and that provided us about just over $2.5 million in grants to students, and another $2.5 million to go to the institution to help defray the cost of migrating all of our coursework online, the additional contracts we had to buy with Zoom, contracts with a lot of different providers of online testing, online lab tools. There's a lot of things that we've looked at, more development sessions, professional development for faculty and staff. We've hired additional instructional designers to help with online course development because we're planning on doing more. Students seem to love that modality. They do well at it with us here at the college in terms of when you compare classroom rates to online rates, they're about the same. And that's a great accomplishment. So we want to make sure we've got a great quality product even online, and we do. So those funds can help us continue that work to deal with that. But right now, we just, in the last week and a half, we got the CARES Act funding out. The guidelines from the Washington was you had to be Title IV eligible, which means eligible for financial aid, be it a Pell Grant or a loan. And so we sent out $600 scholarships or grants out to all the Pell recipients, and another $300 to those who were eligible but not receiving Pell. So the most neediest students from an income standpoint got the highest amount. And we're talking about 4,000 students just this spring term that were eligible for that. Now we also put in 700,000 plus in emergency grants because we knew there were some students who had greater expenditure needs or resource needs for what their situation was. So we wanted to set up a process where they can apply for a grant up to $1,500 additional dollars. And that process is going on now. Students are filling out those applications and sending that in. And we've got a cross-functional team So this didn't all fall under the student service side. We've got a team across different divisions at the college helping out, reviewing those applications, making sure they're eligible based on the federal guidelines, and then we can give those dollars out as emergency grant aid. So that's $2.5 million in funding we're putting right back in the hands of students to go out and spend in our local economy in time when they're in need for funding. And so that's a phenomenal bonus and assistance for our community. The other half is the $2.5 million that we're still waiting on guidance from Washington exactly how we can spend that funding, but we're planning on using that for, as I said earlier, some of those additional contracts we had to buy, as well as things we want to do in the future for perhaps fall term to expand this longer term.
Right, right. Well, there's no doubt that the college has done a lot for the community, especially with all of this funding that's coming from the state and how you've supported your students and your employees through this. What do you think someone who maybe doesn't own an organization, they don't have resources to make a donation, to contribute to this relief effort, what can they do to make a difference during this time?
I tell you what, when it goes back to one of the things in terms, you mentioned wellness earlier. So one of the things that we do almost every night is take a drive in one of my old cars out through the community for exercise purposes, essential business, getting gasoline. In case Sheriff Billy Woods is watching. But you see so many people out there that are trying to get out, sitting on their front lawns and exercising. But folks really want to get out, get back safely, get back to normalcy. And I think if you had to recommend one thing to everybody is take care. Ask your neighbor how they're doing. I think if anything, we've learned a lot through this, that it makes you prioritize the things that are really important. Mm-hmm. And family is important. Spending time with the family, spending time with friends, helping others where you can. Doesn't necessarily have to be time and treasure. Or treasure and to donate to folks if they're not able to do that. But some people can help out just with their time. There's plenty of our local charities that are in need of help, supplies too, but also just labor. We've had people volunteer. This has popped up we had a friend of ours whose daughter is battling cancer as a teenager, and we did a big car parade across her house because she was going in for a procedure the next day to Shands, and then it wasn't a good procedure, a very difficult one for a 15-year-old to have to go through. But the people that came out and helped out, honking the horns, we had our signs and love you, and just that makes such a huge difference to people. I get goosebumps just saying that because it's about caring for each other. This is our community. We've got to stick up for our community, and all of us, the college, our 420 plus full-time employees and 600 part-timers, we're part of this community. We love this community. So please, if I had to recommend something to everyone out there is care for your neighbor, care for your community in any way you can. I know folks are hunkered down and different things, and a lot of folks are starting to come out, but show that care for your community, and how can you be the essential person for our community? You hear a lot about essential workers, but how about we turn all of our citizens in our community as essential citizens, and what does that mean, and how we give back to our community? We love this place. This is such a wonderful area to raise a family and be a part of. When I first moved here, I asked Randy Ewers because I noticed, Randy, how come, former mayor of Ocala, how come it just seems like that everyone's always willing to give to another charity event? I came from the Orlando market, and if you got an organization to do one, you did great. Here, our college does 6, 7, or 8 different charities a year in support. And he goes, well, Jim, it's a giving community. It's just the hallmark of our community. And it truly is. So go out there, be a giver, and be an essential person to our community and help all of them. And again, a rising tide lifts all boats, and we all work together, building each other up. There's no limit to what we can do as a community.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, indeed. And I think that if we do that, if each of us does function and see ourselves as an essential part of this community, then we will recover so much more quickly. and we are stronger together. That's what we keep saying. We are stronger together. So thank you so much for sharing all the wonderful work of the college and everything that you're continuing to do to make a difference in the community. And we appreciate your time because I know you're busy.
Well, thank you, and thanks for all you're doing out in the community, talking to our leaders as we deal with this pandemic. I'm so thankful to our community, and just want to say, bless everybody out there. Stay safe, stay well, stay connected in our community, because we've got a lot of great work ahead of us, and a lot of great joy that's going to be coming back to our community. So thanks very much for thinking about CF, and we're here for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.